What's up, everyone? Welcome to another video. This video is going to be a quick market update. Today the market sold off at the end of the day. It was really ugly. Everyone's blaming this on the Fed official that spoke over the weekend. His comments downplayed the CPI data release. He told everyone to take a breather. Everyone calm down. Don't jump into long positions. Don't go into rally mode yet. We need more data to come out. And that could have been the reason for the sell-off. And I should mention that more data that's happening tomorrow morning, an hour before market open. The PPI data release is coming out. That's much more important than CPI, in my opinion. That is the producer's price index. That comes from the producer's side. So they feel that inflation first. Consumers will feel this data releasing tomorrow. They'll feel it down the road a little bit because consumers feel the inflation last. They are last in line for inflation. That's why I believe the market sold off. I think everyone was preparing for the worst, basically, just in case this data comes out with a big surprise to the downside, because the market has been super sensitive to these economic data points, especially the inflationary data points. So keep eyes on that tomorrow, an hour before market open. And on the earnings front, we have a couple big earnings names. Walmart, one of the nation's biggest retailers, right? They report tomorrow, so anything they say on their earnings report, that'll give us insight into how the consumer's doing. It'll also let us know how the retail sector is doing. After all, they are the biggest retailer, right? And we need to listen for things like if the consumer's not spending money at Walmart, that could potentially have a huge negative impact on the overall market. So keep eyes on that. Watch for anything bad they could say about the consumer not spending money. And other than that, we have Home Depot, man, biggest name in the housing sector, one of the biggest. I'm not exactly sure, to be honest, but I should say that they are one of the biggest allocations in the SPY, somewhere in the top 10. So if they have any major moves in price off of earnings, it will surely affect the price of the overall indices. So keep eyes on that as well. And other than that, we have some pretty interesting updates on the technical picture. So let's jump into the charts real quick.
All right, now the first thing we want to look at are the S&P 500 sectors. You can see those above this yellow line here, all of these in this area. And as you can see, it was a bloodbath all over the place. The only thing that barely finished in the green was the Healthcare Select Index. Biotech and drug manufacturing performed pretty well. Some of the companies did. And the same goes down here for all the Dow Jones sectors. There's a lot more of those. All of them finished in the red. I think only 7 or 8 finished green. It was a bloodbath all over. Everything sold off at the end of the day. All right, now the first thing we need to look at are the S&P 500 sector charts here. And you can see how everything's generally still traveling up in these price channels that I've marked out on the screen. So the short-term technical trend is still upwards. On some of these names, we're near some resistance levels. You can see me circling these resistance levels here. Sometimes you see the price turning over at resistance. Some sellers jump in, bring down the price. That's what happens in a nice, smooth price channel like it seems like we have here on a lot of these. And I do want to point out consumer staples. Walmart is in that category there, and the price closed right at support right down here where I'm highlighting. I'm almost positive that Walmart's earnings, if they're bad, we're going to get a big move to the downside from that resistance, or a big bounce off resistance from some positive earnings reports, right? So keep eyes on Walmart, like I mentioned. I should also mention that a couple of these names that are not turning over at resistance, they got some RSI divergence on the daily candle, some bearish divergence. So watch out for that for sure. Here are the rest of the S&P sectors. This one's SPY right here, actually. And you can see it's generally the same picture for a lot of these. They're just selling near resistance going on here. Aside from the material select sector, this one's breaking out big time. It looks pretty good. And the communication services select sector, I'm circling this point where it got a bounce. I actually made a video right here when it was near the support level. I said it should probably get a bounce soon. It was the worst performer in the video, and it definitely indeed bounced. I even called it the next day right around here, and I said, wow, it's getting a bounce. I probably should have jumped in, and I stopped paying attention to it. And then just look at these big green candles, man. I missed that ride for sure. Don't you hate it when that happens, right? But generally, the sector picture is still looking good, technically speaking. The PPI data release tomorrow could change that picture. Who knows? We'll find out tomorrow. But this selling today is just some selling at resistance. It could have been preparation for the PPI data release. It could have been Fed Waller. But everything's still in a technical uptrend. If we start breaking below support on these price channels that I've shown you in the video, then we should be concerned with some bearishness ahead, right? But right now there's no need to worry, at least on the sector charts. And as for the major indices, here we have S&P 500 futures. You can see the big rally that came after CPI reading. It showed no signs of stopping until it reached this Fibonacci level that I'm highlighting here in red. This is a long-term Fibonacci level. Those are strong support and resistance levels, so you always got to watch out for those. And as I always say in many of my videos, very important economic data releases or interest rate decisions, things like that, they always seem to coincide with major long-term support and resistance levels like this Fibonacci level here. So this PPI data release is happening here, and I mean, if we get a really good reading, we might get above this level, and a negative outcome from PPI would absolutely give us a rejection off of this Fibonacci level. It's a strong resistance level at this point. You can see the rally didn't even slow down until it got to this Fibonacci level. And that was a swift rally, so that'll tell you something. And I should say that Fibonacci level is right around the 400 price point. 4,000, let me say that. It's a nice, solid psychological resistance level, right? If CPI turns out to be great, who knows, you never know, then the next major resistance level on the way up above that Fibonacci level is around the 4,100 level. And below that, there is a few support levels, I should say. There's a few support levels directly underneath. They start right here at the 3950 level, I should say. And if you zoom in close enough, you could see this green candle did actually get a bounce off of that 3500 level. So that's a legitimate support at this point. That's the closest support level. Below that, there's a couple more. There was a lot of choppiness here in the past, so you get a lot of crazy resistance levels at these areas. Expect choppiness if we do start heading down. That is, of course, if the PPI data comes out with a surprise to the negative side, right? So watch those support levels, and also I want to point out this bear market resistance that I'm highlighting on the Dow. This is the Dow Jones futures here. And check it out, man. The Dow has broken above this resistance. It has ended its downward price channel that's kept it in this bear market, basically, something like that. But a break above this is short-term bullish, mid-term bullish. We'll see where this can go. Being above this resistance level could have been some of the reason why we saw some big selling in the Dow. While the SPY and NASDAQ were rallying, a lot of these companies in the Dow were having big sells. I mean, maybe investors were thinking this trend's going to continue and we'll come back below this resistance. It's now a support level, but maybe we're thinking we'll go below this resistance. That's why we had some big selling when investors were rotating into tech companies and a lot of the companies in the S&P. I just wanted to point that out because I haven't mentioned it in any videos yet. And this is a major development, man. It looks like the Dow wants to get out of this bear market. The next major level to watch on the Dow, if it does want to get any higher, would be this, it looks like around the 3,415 level. That is the closest resistance level, major resistance level on the way up, I should say. Below that, the next major support level, if the Dow comes down, would be around this 3325 level, I should say. Somewhere in that zone. This one's a little fuzzy. We have a lot of peaks and valleys to deal with over here. We'll skip NASDAQ and flip over to the VIX, and you can see the VIX has been in a sharp downtrend. It looks like it's trying to bottom out. It's ranging in between these two support and resistance levels that I'm highlighting. And I've had these levels here for a while, well before we had these bounces and rejections, right? And it looks like the VIX might stay range-bound here. So far, this looks like somewhat of a bottoming pattern, some sort of consolidation before it decides which direction to go, right? Possibly PPI could make it pick a direction, right? But for now, we got to keep the VIX range-bound until we break below or above this range that it seems like it's staying in. And I should say, if it does follow this trend and stay within this price channel, then we should be expecting a bounce. And like I said, that's going to be up to PPI. And I also want to point out on the VIX, that it is still in a technical uptrend. It's still above this trending support level that I'm pointing out here. And this is a long-term trend, so this is an important support level here. PPI is going to be the deciding factor if we bounce or fall below this support, right? We'll see what happens tomorrow. The trend in equities right now, the short-term trend is up, so we don't want to fight that. The long-term trend is down, and the long-term trend matters more. So if PPI flips us over and sends the market downward, we got to cover our long positions, right? And last but not least, we're going to flip over to oil here, and you can see oil got a nice bounce, ended this downtrend when OPEC mentioned they were going to stop producing so much next year. They mentioned a big cut, caused a big rally in oil. We had some selling to profit take, I guess you could say. But the bounce here looked real. It looked like oil was going bullish again. And technically speaking, the short-term trend is still up. But let me show you the, if we look closer actually, let me zoom in. Now, when we zoom in, throw my trend lines up, I mentioned in a previous video right around this area, when oil started to sell off, I mentioned that we were still in a technical uptrend, but we're selling off big, so we got to watch out for the support levels, right? I pointed out these two support levels. These are trending support levels. I say if we don't get a bounce here, then my bullishness on oil will flip to bearishness. We dipped below the support. It looked promising when we got a big bounce. But that was a fake out. We rejected this resistance level here, came down in a big way, and wouldn't you know it, overnight, or, well, from futures closed to open, I think it's 1 hour, oil still gapped down. Or it's a few hours, I believe. And now we are back down below this support level. That was the last line of support for this uptrend. We do have one more major support level beneath that, right here. That's around the $83 price point. If we don't bounce there, then oh my gosh, say bye-bye to oil's rally. Technically, the uptrend's over. At this point, we're still ranging, as you can see. But keep eyes on that $83 price point. That's the last line for oil if you're holding any long position. I let go of mine personally, but anyways. And that's basically all I have for the video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you liked anything you heard, definitely hit the like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you have any questions, comments, concern, critiques, leave that in the comments section. If you have a ticker symbol you want me to map out some support and resistance levels, do some analysis on, leave that in the comment section as well. I'd be happy to do that for you. And other than that, I'll see y'all on the next video.